Honest question, how would you like to be the guinea pig for a makeup brand where basically they just launch a product for you to test, give your feedback on, and then it may or may not become a part of their permanent collection? Well, that is what the Lipstick Lesbians are doing with their new brand, Leaked Labs. And they just had their first launch, which was these Flexi Powders. But here's the kicker. There's a lot of controversy behind these Flexi Powders, and we're going to get into that today. Hi, if you guys are new here, my name is Staci, and I feature unfiltered makeup opinions. I'm that journalistic marketing lens on the beauty space, and we are talking today about the new brand / new launch from Leaked Labs by Lipstick Lesbians. This is a brand that was started by the Lipstick Lesbians, Alexis and Christina, and they have been known on the YouTube space for their viral formula breakdowns of makeup launches and makeup products that are currently on the shelf at your local Ulta, Sephora, respectively. We're going to be talking about the first launch of Leaked Labs versus what their concept was when they first announced this entire brand and what it is. First, I wanted to give you guys a little deep dive into what Leaked Labs is, how they presented the brand, and I feel like this is an important thing that we need to talk about because when you actually get to the first product launch, you'll see why.
Why haven't you launched anything yet?
Because the beauty industry is broken. When you hear an influencer say go back to the lab, well, brands don't have labs. Not all of them.
As someone who's not in the beauty industry, I had no idea that brands actually, for the most part, don't have their own labs and that they shop products that are presented to them by manufacturers.
Not getting a product that is as innovative as what the suppliers and the manufacturers are creating. Multi-dimensional.
Oh, wow.
You're getting something safer, more commercially friendly. We did a whole entire year of Christina getting exposed to the industry best trade shows, and she met all these products for the first time.
Got to see all of these innovations that would never launch. And I said to her, what happens to all of these products that never launch?
This is like a biphase eyeshadow.
Exactly.
And then she's like, well, they go in kind of like this graveyard. I said, so consumers.
So starting out this video, they were talking about how they went to a whole bunch of like trade shows and cosmetic shows, and they saw that there were all these like makeup innovations, but at the end of the day, what happens to them? Nothing, because brands are not willing to go after this innovative product. They will continue to say in this video that it also has something to do with like it's innovative and it might corner the market and might give you something original and fresh and new. But at the same time, are they willing to risk their money to go into this product or not? So that's where Leaked Labs comes in, Christina and Alexis.
The ability to touch them or see how cool they are. And then she said, no, they won't. Before becoming an accidental beauty influencer with my wife, Alexis, who is a brilliant product developer and beauty lover, I also got my PhD in education technology. So for years, I studied how people best learn on digital technologies. And I translated everything I knew and I applied it to my wife. And who knew that in this world, it's really called marketing.
The Lipstick Lesbians done a video on this.
The Lipstick Lesbians.
The Lipstick Lesbians.
The Lipstick Lesbians are here in the flesh.
The Lipstick Lesbians popularized people turning around their packaging and saying, oh my God, this is made in Italy. Oh my God, this is made in the USA. Oh my God, this is made in Korea.
The answer kind of came to us, really through Christina.
They would sell the fuck out.
I want you to write this down.
She won't.
I'm serious. I'm like, Alexis, I think I have a great idea.
She was screaming, actually.
We should launch all of the products that we see at the trade shows that brands are too scared to launch.
I said, nobody's gonna go for that. This isn't how the beauty industry works. That's like the opposite of how things work. Never before has a brand existed that is leaking innovation.
Which is true. That is a good point that Alexis makes, is that it is something that has never been really done before, and there is potential for it to flop.
As a brand existed that is leaking innovation from all the labs in the world and bringing it to you for your feedback to then decide whether or not it gets to stay in permanent collection.
Beauty Queens, we're on our way to go see a cosmetic manufacturer. We're about to pitch them our concept.
Left Makeup in Paris 1 year ago. Makeup in Paris closes out the season. So this show was the culmination of all of Christina's experiences. She saw thousands of formulas. She said, what's gonna happen to all of them? I said, these people that work at these manufacturers, they've been working on these innovations, sometimes 2-3 years. And then nobody launches them. They sit in a drawer. But I wanna take take that guesswork away for the brands and for the manufacturers, because I want you to tell us through evaluation what should be launched permanently in the market.
We would like to forge supplier partnerships. We are ready to build this engine. High speed, fast innovation.
This is crazy.
Like, we could call it like unreleased. And then I thought about it. No.
I'm doing whatever I have to do. Trust me.
They needed to be disruptive.
And I needed to have $50. This is not.
Okay, so that is basically the story behind Leaked Labs, is that Christina was being exposed to all of these formulas, all these innovations in the market, like, that weren't actually released yet, and that's how they came up with the concept of Leaked Labs. And honestly, to me, that's a great concept. I think it's honestly, it's an innovative concept because it gives the voice to the consumer and they can give their feedback on what a beauty brand is launching, and then they will go off of that feedback and add it to their permanent collection or not. It's really innovative and it really gets the consumer involved in the entire process. And so I really like the concept behind Leaked Labs. And it sounds, honestly, when you hear about them explaining what they are wanting to do is leaking the product that hasn't been bought out by another brand, that they are going to manufacture small batches of it for testing. And you would think, in my marketing brain, in my product development brain, that you would be coming out with like potential packaging as well for this type of product, because everything is about the product, but it's also about presentation and how it's usable and everything like that. So you would think that when you hear about Leaked Labs from this initial concept, that's what they're going to be doing. But the story is a little bit different than that. So Leaked Labs did launch their Flexi Powder. It retailed for $34 plus shipping. So consumers were actually paying a grand total of $40 plus to be able to get this. And it came with 4 Flexi Powders. And I did watch a review from Jen Loves, and she did a whole breakdown of the Flexi Powder. And some people were saying, okay, this really reminds me of a Pat McGrath when she first launched, and she had like these little packets that looked like came from the lab. And the thing with this is, though, is that the presentation, the packaging, and all of that, it just doesn't seem like it was completely thought out. So let's just first talk about the actual product itself. So Amplify Flexi Powder arrives in what looks like a lab sample, because that's essentially what it is. And you get a tin. I did screen record this from their Instagram, just so you guys know. And then they go into explain exactly what it means for this packaging. It isn't a final phase packaging. It's not designed for retail shelves or social media unboxings. It's designed to get innovation from the lab into your hands as quickly and as simply as possible. So in a way, it makes sense, okay? And in all of these photos that we're seeing on their Instagram, there are these little tins and they say Leaked Labs. Now they say if Amplify Flexi Powder becomes a core product, the packaging may evolve, but for now it reflects what is leaked. Early access formulas released ahead of schedule. And then they have this like layout of the Leaked Labs tin. So how their leaked cycle works. Under Alexis's direction, the network of chemists, artists, and formulation innovators develop cutting-edge and experimental formulations, often using ingredients, delivery systems, or technologies not yet commercialized. Products are released in limited quantities as controlled leaks, allowing innovation to reach consumers without waiting for traditional brand timelines. Consumers, or your lab testers, because you are paying to be a lab tester, purchase and evaluate the product, sharing feedback, reactions, and results publicly. And then lastly, in their step, they refine everything. So they select formulas that may evolve into expanded releases. Others remain as limited lab editions, preserving innovation in the Leaked Labs archive. When they did launch this, it did look like that, like leaked labs, like it came directly from the lab's packaging. But when you actually get to see it, it's all in one tin for people who purchased it, who weren't on the PR list. It's all in one tin of 4 Flexi Powders in different shades. You have a bronze, a gold, a pink, and like this like very chromatic silver, which are very interesting shades to me. Some of them you can wear every day, and they say that they are supposed to be for eyes and face. So like highlights or a blush or an eyeshadow. There are different ways that you can apply this product. You can apply it dry, and some of it creates kind of like this like sheer look across the face, and then you can apply it wet, and it does make this more like amplified look. And it sounds like a really cool concept because it's based off of a lasagna noodle, and it is this like flexi powder that never breaks. But upon reviews of it, Leaked Labs had this to say.
The internet has spoken.
This is the first Leaked Labs State of the Union.
Why am I paying to have a product that's unfinished for me to test and give you feedback?
You're not paying for an unfinished good.
And you're not paying to do the work for us.
You're paying to participate in beauty's largest public focus group that...
Isn't that kind of an oxymoron? A couple of those statements. You're not paying for an unfinished product, but you are, because it hasn't been it hasn't been completely manufactured and mass produced, so it isn't a finished product. It doesn't have finished packaging. Then they also say that you are paying to be in the beauty's biggest focus group. Apparently we're not paying for the unfinished good, and we're not paying for the work, like to do the work for them, which that also seems a bit like an oxymoron, because we are paying for our unfinished product. It's not been manufactured, mass produced in its finished product form for, selling on the shelves. So it is not completely finished. It also, when you do a focus group, usually you pay those people to be in the focus group. It's not the other way around. So we are paying to test a makeup product that is not finished. And we are paying to do, really, in theory, the work for them, because we are not being paid as their focus group. We're paying to be the focus group. We're paying to participate in this. Like I said, whenever you have a focus group for different things, usually you're paid. Like, I can think of just different types of focus groups as they do, and you're paid like $50, $100. They do this a lot on college campuses. So yeah, we're paying them to do the work for them in terms of being a focus group. We are a larger focus group because we are paying more, and you're going to get more of a wider audience, but we are paying to be the focus group, whereas typically it works the other way around.
Being documented.
We actually make sure we test beauty products before we launch them to make sure they're ready for consumers' hands.
We might even be testing them right now.
When manufacturers present products to brands and then brands take it and develop them.
What's funny is that they say that they test the product to make sure that they are ready for consumers' hands, but they aren't giving you the full package, the full what it is that they are wanting to push out as like a actual finished product. This is a leaked lab sample. It is unfinished.
Further, these products are finished. It's just brands take it a step further with longer lead times to make it tailored to them. What we're doing is we're expediting that cycle and giving you the finished good that's presented by the manufacturer to your hands. But rest assured, Leaked Labs products are safe to use, pass all cosmetics and regulatory testing, ready for launch, and
so this is it is a partial completion of a product. It's not the full completion. This is like the prototype. And the prototype is like the starting off point. So it isn't a finished product. And they are correct in saying that, when a lab will present something to a brand, they will take it a step further with packaging and like presentation, but they also modify the formulation based on their focus groups so that they can get that completed product. So Leaked Labs is kind of taking out, they're being like the lab. They're having us be the lab rats, more or less. We are the focus group that is paying for it. But them saying that like, oh, we're taking out that thing, we are presenting you with a complete product. You aren't, because we're the guinea pigs. We're lab rats. It's not complete.
Pass all cosmetics and regulatory testing, ready for launch, and hygienic to you.
The preservative system is there for a reason, to make sure it's safe for you to use.
So what does the future of Leaked hold?
The truth is that no one really knows what the future of Leaked Labs is going to hold, including us.
So they do say that the preservative system is there, which for them to be able to produce it massively and actually sell it, yes, they would have to have those preservatives and make sure that they work and make sure that people don't have any kind of allergic reactions to it. But this is like when you have a prototype, you still put in those types of ingredients so that you can see how your focus group reacts to it, if they have any allergic reactions, if they have any formula discrepancies, anything like that. So this is, they're still giving you not a quite complete product, at least to my understanding.
Give them the platform to be seen, and we're going to also develop some of what we feel to be the best in class innovations that are yet to hit the market. But at the end of the day, we're going to do so alongside you with the curtain peeled back fully this time. This is a space for collaboration. This is an invitation to all brands out there that aren't sure about an innovation. If they so choose, maybe they can leak it with our lab.
Okay, so that's one thing that really, and I think that's the whole point behind this, is what Alexis said, is that, you know, brands can use leaked labs to leak an innovation before they decide if they are going to go through with it, and they can collaborate with leaked labs to leak it, and then the consumers of leaked labs can test it, but they're paying for it. So that is what I'm really... that when she said that, was like, that was the whole dynamic of their business model. At first, they had said when they came out with leaked labs that they wanted to leak the product. They wanted to launch the product that nobody is going to be seeing because it is special, because it has that really cool innovation. But that statement right there just gives you an idea into what the actual intention is behind leaked labs. They want to partner with other brands so that those brands will pay them to do all the testing, but then we are paying leaked labs to test the product ourselves. See how backward that is from what they claimed that this brand was going to do?
A lot of explanation.
If you want this product to be used the way you've used all your other powder products, is it really innovative? It's really just a question of, is it worth it to explore?
And ultimately, the question of whether or not Flexi is a gimmick is really up to you to decide.
So Alexis brings up this point, like, if you want this product to work the way your other powder products work, is it really innovation? The thing with this product is that it is a flexi, so it is not powder. It is not a cream. So she should stop comparing it to a powder product or a cream product. If they want to be innovative and they want to be marketing this product as something completely new to the market, then they need to come up with their own concept behind that instead of comparing it to a powder.
The selfie camera was actually seen as a narcissistic gimmick when it first launched. And look at it now.
Lastly, we've come to understand we've solved one of your biggest pain points. Flexi is unbreakable. Just like that.
Actually, the selfie camera was not seen as a narcissistic gimmick because we were all known for taking selfie pictures with our digital cameras in the early 2000s and even before then, but I digress. That should not be a point that she is making because there is absolutely no correlation and it is a false statement. So in any case, this entire State of the Union address, it definitely brings and sheds to light some of the intention behind leaked labs. From what I thought it was going to be innovative, new product that you kind of have a say in, that you can take a vote on. And then you hear Alexis make the statement that it is, we're going to partner, or, brands can partner with us and we can be the ones who leak that product and test for you. But at the end of the day, we, the consumer, are the ones who are paying for it. Whereas when you do an actual study, a product study, a case study, and you have a concept, the people are actually that you're testing it on, usually they're the ones that are getting paid. So it is a new concept. It might be a money-saving concept to brands, but as the end consumer, we're getting unfinished product that has never been tested on people before. And at least to my knowledge, we are getting product that has never been tested on people before, and we are paying for it. So with that being said, there were some videos that I found on TikTok, and I will show you guys in the video. It shows who it is that posted it, but there were some other issues with this product that were noted in some of these TikTok videos, and some other issues that I wanted to make light of from all of the reviews that I saw coming out about leaked labs. So this one is actually from Monica Raby.
The internet wants innovation, but no beauty brand wants to take a risk. So the Lipstick Lesbians came and said we want to at least least try. Of the 500 reviews I've seen on social media, not one person has darker skin. So I'm here to take one for the team. Even though these are sold out, I thought I would still give you guys my no BS review. The Lipstick Lesbians came out with their new pseudo brand, where they're essentially trying to bring more innovative products to the market in a lab sample format for $34. That's where I feel like it's questionable. For the first leak,
you'll see that she mentions the price tag. You can also see where she's looking at the packaging, and it's not that great. Like, if they had actually given you a lab sample tin of each individual shade instead of all in one, that would have been a better concept than putting it all into one tin. Yes, the overhead would have been a little bit more, but when you think about the concept of you're wetting down the product to get like that, like very fierce foily effect, and they're all being placed back into one tin, are they gonna stick together? Like, if they're not fully dry? Like, there's a whole bunch of questions I have behind it. But we are going to watch the rest of Monica's.
Their new Amplify Flexi Powders. Flexible powder you could use literally wet, dry, and all over the face. Apply these so you guys can see how it looks like on my skin tone. Final thoughts at the end of the video. There is a formula, I guess, discrepancy between the shades. The gold one, which I'm gonna reach for as a brown girl, of course, is a lot thinner. Really worried this is going to rip. I hate getting makeup on my fingers. If you have nails, it might poke into this product. We'll see what the pigment gives. Ooh, okay.
I do want to point out that you will notice that she is applying the product directly to her face, whereas if you were a professional makeup artist or just like a makeup person in general, typically we don't take the product and like directly smear it all over our face. And that's what she's doing with this one, but it's how Alexis demonstrated that you use it. Typically when we apply like a powder or an eyeshadow, we are actually using a brush and we're dabbing it, especially if it's a powder, we're dabbing it on our face, or we will take our finger and we will swirl it in whatever pan it is, and then we will apply it directly to our eye. So that is an interesting application process. It's how Alexis demonstrated it. Let's continue. Oh, she also did mention that the gold one that she would basically use that would really show up on her skin tone would be the gold one, and it seems to be less thick than the other ones. So again, we're having some consistency issues between each shade. They are not exactly the same thickness. So that's another question.
Okay, that is pretty. I don't love.
She even mentions that she doesn't like actually touching it with her hands and getting makeup all over her hands, which I can completely understand. I don't like really doing that much either. And this product completely requires you, for the dry application anyway, to literally take the little piece and swipe it all over your eyes. Very unhygienic, if you ask me.
Touching this, I'll be honest, I'm not experiencing the same patchiness as I saw on the girlies with fairer skin tones, but that might also be because this shade, like the darker shades, were probably meant for skin tones like mine. I do want to see how this looks wet. I do wish that they didn't put this in like a lab sample, because I already don't love the way this is going to be stored. This shade.
So Monica did say something about how it's going to be stored, how it's all in one lab tin, and I have to concur. They should have put it in like a small compact for each one, or in separate tins, not all in one tin, because like storing it, that's not a really good idea. If it's still damp or even like the slightest bit wet, are they all gonna stick together? Like, that's the big question.
Though really pretty on darker skin. If you've got deeper skin, this one almost shifts, at least on me. I'm gonna swatch the other 3 shades dry on the right side of my face and the same 3 shades wet on the left side of my face. Someone with darker skin and who likes sparkly eyeshadows, I thought I would like the pink shade. I don't really like it. I only like this gold shade. For my actual no BS review, I always love innovative products, which is why I love a Danessa Myricks. Also here for the practicality of things. It's just like a little gross for me. And at a $34 price point for a lab sample. I'm wondering if there's a way we can launch fun, innovative products that also solve a problem and that are also practical. But let me know if you agree and what you thought about this.
One other thing that I would like to know after hearing her review is that how she laid out the lab samples, because they don't come in like a little compact, which I wish that they would have done. I understand it's a lab sample, but they could have at least done something so that they're all individually tinned, so that obviously when you wet them down, you can wet them down in the tin, that sort of thing. But she had to use a foundation plate, which I do have one, my foundation plate here, which is what she used when she was laying out the lab samples, because they don't have any kind of like finished packaging, so to say. So the quality of launching this product in one lab tin for $34 seems a little bit extreme to me. Now, let's go on to, I did find a video regarding somebody who was analyzing this product from a makeup artist perspective.
Would never recommend this to a makeup artist. This is an update in regards to the Leaked Labs Flexi Powder. Left these out in open air for 3 days, and I also sprayed alcohol on it about an hour and a half ago, making the product deteriorate. The reason I sprayed.
So this makeup artist, she said never recommend this to a makeup artist because she left it out for one, and then for two, she sprayed it with alcohol to sanitize it because as a professional makeup artist, a way to sanitize your product if you're going to be using it on multiple clients, you have to spray it with alcohol, like a 91% or a 99% isopropyl alcohol. And you see in this video that her sample is literally like ripped apart. And according to Alexis and Christina, these are not breakable unless you rip them, but these weren't ripped. This is from her sanitizing them.
These with alcohol is because I saw a video on the Leaked Labs site where Alexis is calling the cosmetic chemist, and the cosmetic chemist says that there are preservatives in here to ensure that it won't, you know, become like a breeding ground. Here's the thing, you guys, if the board comes around to your salon or while you're on site or whatever, and someone inspects you and they ask you, how are you cleaning these? I've never seen this texture before. And you say, oh, you don't need to clean it. It has a preservative system. They're going to laugh in your face and you're going to get fined, or you will get docked and you will have to get re-inspected. While I'm sure the cosmetic chemist has done their testing and everything, or as the California Board of Cosmetology goes, I don't think this would pass.
Honestly, and that goes for professional makeup artists as well. How are they sanitizing this product? And is that preservative system only working? Like, there's just so many factors that haven't been addressed. Like, you have to be able to sanitize the product because you are getting something wet. You have to be able to keep it clean. There is no product packaging that they provided to keep it clean. They're all being put back into one lab sample unless you have something else that you're putting it in. They didn't even put them in like little magnetic pans that you usually get when you buy like a single eyeshadow. They didn't do anything like that. They just left it in this little lab sample tin, and there's, like I've said, I think I've reiterated this so many times, but what if they are still wet and they haven't fully dried and you put them away? Do they stick together? Do they mold together? Like, that just defeats the whole purpose of the whole product.
The only way that product would work for a makeup artist is if you cut the sliver that you're going to use on your client, but then you have to throw away whatever is left of that sliver. It just is not makeup artist friendly.
So the last thing that she does know is that, like, if you did want to use that product, you would have to cut like a little tiny sliver out to apply it to their face, and then you would end up having to throw it away. Now, these lab samples were small. They were probably like 22 millimeters, 28 millimeters in size, like your average round pan for eyeshadow. And if you're cutting out a little sliver every single time, yes, there is a lot of use out of it, but you can't reuse it on multiple clients. So it is not makeup artist friendly, and that's what is coming out about this too. So there are a lot of issues that are happening with this product. People are not happy with the packaging. They're not happy with the overall price point of this as well. And they're also not happy with the fact that we are the lab rats and we are paying to be the lab rats, but we're not receiving quality product either. And that is honestly why Christina and Alexis had their State of the Union address and they got so offended by it. Problem is, this could have been thought out so much better. And when you hear their State of the Union, as I pointed out before, all of a sudden they're like, oh, we could collaborate with brands. So here's my thoughts on Leaked Labs, okay? Because there's a lot to unpack with this first launch, with the business concept. I think from a first approach of hearing about Leaked Labs, that they're going to be a beauty brand who leaks things from the lab that no other brand has ever done. I think that's a great concept because a lot of consumers have been saying as of late that they're so sick of seeing repeats. They're so sick of seeing dupes. And that's what Leaked Labs wanted to pinpoint. They wanted to solve that problem. However, then they are pivoting in that State of the Union address saying like, oh, we could partner with a lab. We could partner with the brand and we can, leak this formula if you aren't so sure about it and then give the feedback. But at the end of the day, we are the consumers. We are paying our hard-earned money, especially when the economy is in the state that it is in the United States right now. I mean, jobs are pretty scarce. We are seeing a rise in costs everywhere, and we've seen a lot of that happen where I live here in upstate New York, and we're seeing a lot of economic strain. So we're paying for a product that isn't complete to be the lab rat, and our feedback, yes, while it is respected, at the end of the day, we're the lab rats. And typically when you are the one who is like being tested a product on, when a product is being tested on you, usually they are coming to you and paying you because you signed up for it. You're usually getting paid to be the lab rat for things like this. So that's what really bothers me about this concept for leaked labs. I think it is a great concept, but the fact remains is that the packaging hasn't been thoroughly thought out. I like that they are going with that whole like leaked labs sample, but it's still not innovative because what average everyday consumer has a foundation plate? I just so happen to have one because I love the way that I'm able to apply my makeup with a foundation plate. But I think back to my cosmetologist mother, who's now almost 60. But when she was a practicing cosmetologist and doing makeup, she didn't have a makeup foundation plate to do her own makeup. Like, she was just applying it on herself. 9 times out of 10, people don't have the tools that are needed or required to use this product. So honestly, if Leaked Labs was coming out with this type of product, they should have come out with the tools as well to use it or put it in packaging that was usable for the consumer instead of one teeny tiny little tin full of 4 little flexi pads. Not to mention the fact that they don't even tell you how much product is actually included in each little flexi pad, which we saw that some of the quality, there's quality issues there. There is quantity issues there because, as Monica pointed out, one of her samples seemed to be a little bit more flimsy and thinner than the other samples. So it isn't being completely regulated. The quantity is not being regulated. So there's a lot of issues specifically with this first launch, but with the overall concept. If you are asking people to pay to be a part of a whole study, it needs to be affordable product with better packaging, and you also need to disclose how much product they are getting, and none of that has been done. Basically, when I heard of Leaked Labs, I thought that they were going to be doing more of like a limited edition, but with quality packaging, and it's product that we have never heard of before, not lab samples that you're paying upwards of $40 for, in my humble opinion. So I'm hoping that the next launch of Leaked Labs, I hope that it goes better, and I hope that Christina and Alexis learned something from this first launch. I think it was a good test run for them, but at the end of the day, I feel like there's still some holes that are missing in this entire concept for Leaked Labs. I think it's a great concept, but there's things that are missing. And you have to be really conscious of what the consumer is looking for when it comes to presentation, packaging, quality, quantity, how much you're getting in your product. Are you getting the biggest bang for your buck? And is it only for your average everyday consumer, or are you pushing this for makeup artists as well? That is my humble opinion on this entire thing. So if you guys liked content like this, if you guys like seeing my journalistic marketing deep dives into things like this, make sure that you subscribe, and I hope I hope I get to see you guys in my next video. Bye!